Hey everybody, welcome back. Gerald here with your weather forecast. Hope we're all having a wonderful Wednesday so far. And today's video is probably going to be a bit more lengthy than the past couple, just because we've got a lot to talk about today. And we've seen some pretty interesting model trends over the past 12 hours or so regarding this weekend's weather. And I still think we'll have a really nice Saturday, but Sundays are really a big time question mark right now. And our models are really kind of all over the place. We've got a pretty big fight going on between the GFS and Euro right now as to what exactly we will see later this weekend. But if one of these models are right, we could have a pretty big time severe weather threat on Sunday through the Carolinas. So definitely going to dive into that and kind of talk about just the overall weather over the next 5 days or so for the eastern half of the country. With that said, though, let's go ahead and get right into it because I've got the tie on today. So we're going to be just extra proactive in today's video. It's just the power of the tie. I can't really explain it, but anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and start off by looking at radar. And we've got a pretty active scene right now. We have this low pressure back over the southern plains right now, and as we go through the next 48 hours or so, this is going to continue to move to the east and the south, and with that bringing some big time rain into sections of the Carolinas and the southeast tomorrow. And we'll definitely take a look at that with our future radar. But right now we're seeing already pretty widespread rain here in the Carolinas, but that severe weather is mainly confined further south here to areas of Georgia and Florida this afternoon, and also back out here towards Texas, seeing some stronger storms today. So I'm taking a look at satellite. Again, you can see this pretty well on satellite. You can see this spinning with these clouds over the southern plains right now, and this low pressure is going to continue to work to the east, as we talked about, and with that rain moving with it over the next 48 hours. So we're going to get a lot of rain within the next 48 hours throughout the southeast, but after that, I think we get a bit of a lull going into kind of the second half of Friday as well as Saturday, but Sunday is when things are going to pick back up before we have a nicer start to next week. So looking at the current hazards, again, we have some stronger storms over Florida and Texas right now, but other than that, we're pretty quiet with our hazards. We do have some freeze warnings up here into the Midwest and the Northeast due to that chance of some of those cooler temperatures tonight, but other than that, things are pretty quiet on our map. So I'll kind of start here by showing the severe weather map over the next 2 days, and we'll start with tomorrow, where we could have some severe storms anywhere from Savannah all the way back up towards Memphis, Little Rock, and then all the way back down through just about all of the Gulf Coast, from really kind of the Florida Big Bend all the way over to the Mexico border. So if you're on the Gulf Coast, really anywhere in those regions, you have that chance of severe weather tomorrow, but specifically here in places like New Orleans, Mobile, and Biloxi, really having the highest chance of those strong storms tomorrow. And then as we go into day 3, which is Friday, we again have two kind of separate areas. One here over the southeast, the coastal southeast from Florida through coastal Georgia and the coastal Carolinas. And then also another area back out here towards Texas, which will be that kind of secondary low pressure that will begin to kind of form that way. And that is what will bring the question marks for our Sunday forecast back out into the southeast. So we'll start here by looking at Futurecast over the next 48 hours or so here in the eastern half of the country. And I'll start this by looking at tomorrow morning. So I think tomorrow morning is going to look a lot like today did. We're going to have, again, this area precipitation that I kind of talked about in yesterday's video, setting up shop here right through this kind of corridor that I have circled on your map. We're going to have that again tomorrow with one round of rain moving through that area in the morning and early afternoon, before getting another heavier batch of rain into overnight Thursday for much of us here in the southeast. So Thursday night looks pretty just wet and kind of ugly for a lot of us. So if you have Thursday night plans, definitely make sure you have the umbrella, and really just throughout the day Thursday, I would make sure you're carrying that umbrella, as we do have a chance of rain throughout just about all of Thursday and especially into Thursday night. Now, the bright side is, as we get into early Friday, we look to clear out for much of the southeast, although still a very steady, heavy rain through much of the mid-Atlantic here throughout the day Friday. We'll have a nicer Friday through much of the southeast as a whole, and as you can see, as we get into about 2 o'clock Friday afternoon, which is as far as this model goes, overall nicer in the southeast, although still some scattered showers we can't rule out, but definitely better than Thursday looks, but really just quite the washout on Friday for many places in the D.C. area, West Virginia, up towards Pittsburgh, and back down towards Maryland and Delaware. Looks just kind of like a pretty miserable Friday afternoon. Now, as we bring this into kind of the weekend, this is when things get a bit different, and we have a lot more question marks going into this weekend. So this is the GFS model I'll start with. This is one possible solution for sure, and we'll bring this into kind of Friday afternoon on the GFS. Again, you notice this kind of rain up here in those areas that we just looked at, and maybe some scattered rain as well into the southeast. But one good thing that the GFS and just about all of our models agree with is as we get into Saturday afternoon, things look relatively nice through the southeast. So if you're in the Carolinas, much of Tennessee, likely much of Georgia on Saturday afternoon, things look pretty nice. Could be a bit different down here along the Gulf, but for most of our major population centers here in the Carolinas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, and plenty other places, Saturday looks really nice. It's going into Sunday that we get those question marks. So here with our latest GFS, you notice Sunday afternoon looks really like quite a washout for much of the coastal southeast and the mid-Atlantic. But what I want you to notice is this low pressure is pretty far south and generally stays relatively offshore as we get into Sunday night. So while this does suggest a washout, it brings that severe weather threat way down before eventually going into Monday afternoon. We really clear out and we have those cooler and drier conditions on Monday. Now, if we bring this to the Euro, I'm going to zoom this in a bit on the southeast. Let me bring this map back a little. I got a little happy there. But as we get into Saturday here in the Euro, again, you notice really just all clear for much of the southeast and mid-Atlantic. A really nice Saturday on the Euro, even nicer than the GFS depicts. But as we get into early Sunday, you'll notice we get this very strong low pressure to form, and this kind of rides up the spine of the Appalachian Mountains. So what that allows is a big-time warm sector with a lot of wind energy. Whenever you get a low pressure of this strength, you're going to have big-time wind gusts and plenty of wind shear to work with here in the southeast and mid-Atlantic on Sunday. And the other kind of component of this is that warm sector. So we'll look at that here. And if you look at the dew points here going into kind of Sunday afternoon, you'll notice we have this big area of kind of unstable air here in the central and eastern Carolinas on Sunday afternoon. And that combined with all of this wind energy that would be brought by that low pressure, if I get my maps to stay on the right date at least, that spells trouble in terms of severe weather. And this could be quite a big tornado and wind threat on Sunday if the Euro unfolds the way it has shown today. Now, I'll tell you, the models, again, have really been all over the place within the past 12 hours. So there's just about as much of an equal likelihood as the GFS being right, where it's just kind of a cold, soggy rain on Sunday, as the Euro is, where we have a big low pressure with a lot of wind energy and that threat of tornadoes on Sunday. So we're definitely going to have to iron this forecast out over the next couple of days, but it has definitely become more concerning today with the looks that the Euro is giving, and if the GFS were to follow suit over the next couple of days, we could have a pretty big-time severe weather threat on Sunday. The other thing I can just about guarantee is we're going to get a lot of rain. So we're going to get kind of that one round of rain over the next 48 hours, then we're going to get that lull, and then Sunday, I think, looks like, honestly, even more rain than what we're looking at right now. So really anywhere here into the southeast, through the mid-Atlantic, and up through the northeast is going to see a big chunk of rain between now and Monday. And I think especially here into the southeast, really getting the bulk of that down here through coastal Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and the Florida Panhandle, riding up through Georgia and the Carolinas. I think widespread 2 to 4 inches of rain is going to be a pretty common sight through many big cities here in the east over the next 5 days or so. The other thing I wanted to show you, if I can, I didn't actually prepare this, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. But we will try to. With the Euro model here at least, another big thing will be the wind energy like I talked about. So we could get some pretty gusty winds on Sunday if this unfolds, whether we get that severe weather or not. And unfortunately, this map isn't going to show it too well. But whenever you have a 993 low, riding right through the Carolinas, that does spell the trouble for potentially some tree damage as well. So with all the rain that we're getting right now, if we were to get a low pressure like this to form and kind of ride up the eastern half of the country, that definitely spells the potential of some down power lines and down trees, and just kind of really a good old-fashioned strong springtime storm. So again, that is what I'm definitely going to be watching over the couple of days, but what I can guarantee you is we got a lot of rain over the next couple of days, but on the bright side, we definitely clear out going into early next week. And unfortunately, I didn't add that graphic on here, but That is definitely some good news. Next week will be cooler, but it will definitely be drier as well. So that is something we can all look forward to. We just have to get through kind of these multiple rounds of storms and potentially a big time storm on Sunday, just depending on how things unfold with the forecast. But with that said, make sure not to forget your umbrella over the next couple of days and try to get out there and enjoy whatever nice weather you can find as much as you can. But with that said, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.